Hi, Brian Pittman here at the Heart of America Carnival Glass Association in Kansas City, and today we're speaking with Dolores Sage, one of the founders of Iridescent Nation. Hi.
Hi.
So tell me, you and the Nielsen's had kind of this interesting idea several years ago that has blossomed into this wonderful thing. So how did the idea or the crux of Iridescent Nation come to happen?
Actually, it started in around 2000, the fall of 2003, and I was standing in front of one of my cabinets doing something with my carnival glass, and my 11-year-old granddaughter was watching, and she happened to pick up a newsletter from one of the clubs that I had received, and she leafed through it and said, "Where are all the pictures? There's not enough pictures in here," even though she really liked the glass. And from that, I got the idea, why don't we start a club? Why don't we sponsor a club for children?
And you guys were part of the Sunshine State group at that?
Yes, I was on the board of the Sunshine State Carnival Glass Club, which met in Florida. And so when I first presented it to the board, the reception was not received very highly. But then when it was tabled for the next meeting, I decided to do a little more work on it. So I went back home and contacted Sandy Sage, who was my daughter-in-law, and asked her if she would set up a newsletter for children, and that's what we did. Then I presented it to the board the next time with the idea, here's what we would do. Everything was all set. At this point, John and Loretta Nielsen said, fine, we'll help you work this out. And from that, it has grown. And it's been in existence now for 11 years.
It has. Did you find it a hard sell to, kind of get children actually involved? I know that you had to get the board to approve on it, but when you put it out there for children, how quickly did it grow initially?
It went pretty well. We had our convention in 2004, early in the year, and what we did, Jim Rhoda said, why don't I do an auction for the children? And he proceeded to give them, he said, I'll give them play money, and they have to decide which ones pieces of glass they want to buy, and so they don't exceed their play money. And so then we had, just by word of mouth, we had probably 7 children at the convention. And actually, people were very willing to sign their children up. Grandparents, aunts and uncles. We didn't have too many parents.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool, though. Did you get any feedback from the children when they started getting the information and the pieces and all that? Not
too much, although we sent them a free piece of glass every year. That was received very highly. They loved to get the glass in the mail.
I bet so.
And some of them sent pictures so that we could put them in our newsletters.
Yeah.
So
over the years, it continued to grow, and several people were involved. But Sunshine State, on the other hand, it kind of dwindled a little bit. So how did that go?
We ran out of workers in Sunshine, and it was forced to close. So at that point, I enlisted my whole family. I have 4 children, and I involved them all. I immediately contacted Bob and Sandy Sage in Texas, who were now members of the Texas Club, and they proceeded to continue to do the newsletter and take the initiative in it. John and Loretta stayed with us the entire time. The rest of my family was involved with writing newsletters or articles for the newsletters, packing the glass, and transporting Mama all these places that we were finding carnival glass. So the Texas Club has been taking, I think, the initiative in backing us and supporting us. When the Sunshine Club dissolved, any money that was left in the treasurer, they transferred to our club.
Wow.
So far, we've been able to still pay the costs of the mailing of the letters or the glass, which has been about $500 a year.
Yeah.
We charge $10, thinking that the children should get used to the idea. Yes, this is a club, you have to pay dues.
Right.
But it's not excessive.
Right.
And we also have, as a member of our club, the glass research lab at the Corning Museum. And I contacted, and I visited the Corning Museum probably 2 or 3 years after we were started, and to see just exactly what they were doing with our newsletters.
Yeah.
And the curator told me that they keep them on at that time they had a rack there of things, and when the school groups came around, the children were able to see this.
Wow.
And I was hoping that possibly we might get some from that, but you never know whether you do or not.
Yeah.
So in this new technology now, when the children joined the club at the beginning, we sent them binders with a bunch of material in it that explained a lot. There were sheets on how to catalog their glass and keep track of it, who made it, the whole thing. We now are in the transition. Half of the members get their newsletters by email, and half of them get it by what they call snail mail.
Yeah.
U.S. postage.
Yep. You guys started a Facebook page, and it seems like that's got lots of traffic.
Sandy and Bob took charge of that, and Sandy has really worked diligently with it. We have a couple of grandchildren. I have a couple of grandsons that have a internet website building business, so they helped set it up and for free for us.
Good. And
working with Sandy, they were able to establish this, and so it has grown from that.
That's amazing. This seems like a real labor of love for you. Yeah, you were. I mean,
yes,
it was
definitely
your
is.
idea. So, what do you? How do you feel in? You've seen it start to where you have some phenomenal numbers now. I mean, how does that make you feel?
Well, I'm hoping that this is going to bear fruit in years to come. Our first 2 members were my granddaughter Alicia Nestra and Matt Rhoda. Of course, Matt is involved in it because of his father too, but Alicia still loves to come to the conventions and would not even think of giving up any of her glass, even though she's not had the ability to really buy it.
Yeah.
She's still in college, so hopefully over the years these young people will go on, and a lot of them are relatives and so on. If I get any great-grandchildren or nieces, nephews, cousins, I automatically sign them up for a year and then let them go from there. A lot depends on the parents and how they will nurture them in the glass. So
well, that's a phenomenal effort. I know that, as you said, when Sunshine State went away, they bequeathed kind of all of the remaining funds they had, but certainly you can't be taking in a huge amount of money. So how can people get involved? How can they help out in this effort?
I would say many people write for the other newsletters of the adult clubs. We desperately need short articles with lots of pictures. This is what the children like.
Yeah.
And we could use volunteers. I especially am not going to be around too awfully many more years. Who's going to pick up this slack?
Yeah.
So hopefully, John and Loretta also.
Yeah.
I mean, we've worked on it, but
For more than a decade.
yes, we have. So, but now that both of us are getting older, someone should pick this up a little bit.
Yeah.
There's the packing of the glass, the storing of the glass, keeping track of the children when they renew and don't renew.
Yes.
You need to remind them. Volunteers to do that type of work.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate what you've done, and I think that all of Carnival Glass owes you a big thank you for at least putting the idea of collecting Carnival Glass into the minds of the future generations for us.
What you really need is now someone to step up to the plate and pick up the slack in the 20-year-olds and nurture that group and just get a group started on it.
I agree.
But it takes work.
It does, it does. Well, thank you very much for talking to us today. And thank you for
inviting me and just getting this idea across.
It's an amazing, amazing thing that you've done. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is Brian Pittman at the Heart of America Carnival Glass Association with Dolores Sage.